remember back in the days, I think sometimes in the 90s already, I thought that this could be kind of fun, doing like riding fast on the gravel roads. But then I thought like, well, it doesn't exist. That kind of sport doesn't exist and won't exist. But then fast forward to 2020s, and especially the post-COVID area, suddenly we see in the market the gravel bikes the market is exploding and people are buying gravel bikes. Why is that? I think there are several reasons. I could pick few that I think are the main drivers. Like for myself.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Social Hotelier podcast with me, Sam-Erik Ruttmann. I have a very interesting episode today. We're going to talk about travel, not travel by air, but travel by biking. And I think this is a very interesting event and also a feature that is changing in many ways how people see what travel is all about. So in this episode, we have the founder of PK and Company, Sari Puumala. She's an entrepreneur consulting small and medium-sized enterprises, shape their business concepts, growth strategies, and growth funding methods. So welcome, Sari, and thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks, Sam-Erik. Thanks for having me. It's an honor. It's actually my first podcast, so this is really exciting for me now.
Well, you sound very professional. I think you have been around for so long that speaking in public and in front of a microphone is not it's not a strange thing for you. But what is interesting now about you, Sari, that could you tell us a little bit about the background? Because I talked about your professional background, what you do in consultancy, but you have a passion for sports and outdoor activities. You have been quoted that sports and outdoor activities is the fuel for everything you do. So can you tell me about what is that all about? Share your passion.
Oh yeah, outdoors is definitely a big passion for me. And even now sitting in a meeting room, I have a forest behind me. And that really suits me because I couldn't live without the nature experiences. And I also love sports, endurance sports. So combining those two, it's a big thing. And I have been privileged to be able to do endurance sports and outdoor life in many different ways. I actually, as a kid, I didn't do any sports. My family was an outdoor family. We did hikes and picnics and stuff like that, but no sports. But then when I was already like 26, 27, all of a sudden I just decided I want to do triathlon. It wasn't a big sport at that day in Finland, and the whole sport is a new one. And then, I just started, I thought that it's fun and exciting, and I just started doing it. And then 20, 30 years later, I've completed like 10 times iron distance races and even participated in the big dance in Hawaii World Champs. And so many amazing experiences. But now I kind of want to shift to other experiences. I have the capability to do all kinds of things with my physics. So, I really love to go like for trails, for more, not like so sterile environments like paved roads. I've done swim runs, which is amazing in Finland, where we have lakes and forests all over the country. It's basically just lakes and forests. So that's an amazing new sport. Yeah. Trail running and gravel cycling is now the big thing that I really love.
Yeah, but looking back when you started triathlon, you have the disciplines of swimming, biking, and running. Which one came easiest for you at the time?
Obviously, I've done like commuting, riding bikes, in a commuting style, and running, like doing some small runs throughout my life. But then swimming, that was the difficult part. Yeah. As a kid, already from the kid, I loved water, but I didn't have any training like in freestyle, proper swimming. So that was a big mission to kind of get into. But Yeah, I've done so many years that it's something that I can do for long distances now, and I feel really comfortable going to oceans or lakes or wherever.
Yeah. Well, I had a dream also about triathlon, but because I enjoyed running.
Oh, cool.
And I
Cool.
enjoyed biking, but swimming was my sort of the. I enjoy the swimming part, but I never learned the proper technique to get the glide and the flow in swimming. So I tried to compensate. Running was my passion also, and but not as much as for me it was actually the running part. But enough about me. But you talk about the gravel road bikes market, and so can you explain a little bit what is it all about, and what explains the interest?
Yes, I seem to look back in my sports and our outdoor history, and having done cycling most of my time on paved roads, and during the off season with cyclocross bikes, doing some gravel roads. And I remember back in the days, I think 90, sometimes in the 90s already, I thought that this could be kind of fun, doing like riding fast on the gravel roads. But then I thought like, well, it doesn't exist. That kind of sport doesn't exist and won't exist. But then fast forward to 2020s, and especially the post-COVID area, suddenly we see in the market the gravel bikes the market exploding and people are buying gravel bikes. Why is that? I think there are several reasons. I could pick few that I think are the main drivers. Like for myself, I think that there's an area where I lived, and I've been riding road bikes since 1993 around these areas. I've done all of the roads so many hundred times that I can't get any adventures and new experiences. But then when I moved to gravel roads, it's like each time I can go different routes, and especially living in Finland where you have this infrastructure of gravel roads, it's such an extensive one. It's so exciting, and the cycling all of a sudden, even if you go like riding your bike and enjoying the riding, you can kind of get an adventure. And also looking all over the world, it's so sad to hear so many accidents and deaths in the traffic. It's like a really serious thing, and I think people really like to move to more quiet roads. And also, when you move to quiet roads, you can get the more of the social aspect of cycling, which I mean, it's a big and important thing in cycling. You go with your cycling teams and social ride type of rides. If you don't have like a structured training program, and you can chat and have fun talking with your friends. You can ride in a gruppetto, which you can't actually do on paved roads with high traffic volumes. So there's so many aspects to it that you kind of jump into a total different world, and still you have the same kind of user interface type of thing, that you have the same kind of bike, this drop bar bike, as you have in road cycling. And it's also kind of a thing that mountain cyclists also, it's like in between mountain biking and road cycling, you kind of have a not so sterile surroundings.
Yeah.
You go,
But I just remember that when we met, in fact, we met around a project in Ylläs.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Ylläs in the Arctic Lapland. For those people who are not familiar, it's in the west Arctic Lapland, and we met around the project. And I thought I mentioned this before. I could talk about how it relates to biking. Is that I didn't realize how amazingly fit you are, because we were actually walking around the site, and I was having some challenges how to reach up to the top when we were walking around, and you didn't seem to have any problem. But more importantly, our mutual friend Heikki, so shout out to Heikki if you're listening to this podcast, that you were saying that, oh, Sari, let's go and do a ski cross-country ski together, and so I think both of you went skiing, and Heikki was trying his best to stay with you, but I think he was not as fit as you, because one of the things that we laughed about later on once you finished that you said, I was freezing because I had to wait for Heikki, and Heikki felt like a little bit sort of, well, okay, sorry about that. But it was kind of an anecdote how I remember you, Sari.
Oh yeah, that's such a fun. I tried to be quite kind of not talk too much about it, but then actually it was my business partner Erja who took who started to talk about that. Oh, poor Sari, she had to freeze while waiting for Heikki. I was like, no, don't mention about that. Let's appreciate Heikki's effort. And yeah.
But then interesting is that when we talked to the business partner for Ylläs, we talked about suddenly, or I started to study also about what can you do in a ski resort area in the summer. Then came the biking aspect, and then he started to also develop ideas of how to get this biking aficionados from Central Europe and Southern Europe to travel all the way up to his area and do biking. It seems to be that has been growing. So I'm kind of curious to understand, road biking, and it's popular in Central Europe and Southern Europe. And I heard Belgium is very big for biking.
Oh yes.
What is the fascination to make a journey to Finland?
Yes, I mean that's a thing that I hope that will get the world know why. Because as a cycling nation, cycling is kind of small. We have a few good, internationally rated good cyclists, but in different disciplines. But if you think of the sports spectators, cycling is not a big thing, as you mentioned, like in Belgium and continental Europe, where road cycling is a massive thing. And I believe we won't be a massive road cycling destination ever, even if we have like very much lower traffic volumes, even if the volumes have grown. But when we talk about gravel cycling, we have insanely amazing infrastructure as a very densely populated, not so densely populated country, and we have so much rural areas and roads connected village to village, and like state roads that are gravel roads, and then we have like local gravel roads and then private gravel roads, and on top of that we have the concept of everyone's rights that makes us able to use private roads. We obviously have to take into consideration that we don't do any harm to the landowners or the private road facilitators, and don't do any littering or trespass private areas. But other than that, we can basically cycle wherever we find a road or forest road or just a normal gravel road. And I think we had the figure that like official like gravel roads, there's like 80,000 kilometers. And then when we add all the forest roads that are really awesome to ride, and also like the cross-country skiing infrastructure, which are like gravelly type of surface, it's like we have just, endless possibilities. And it's also kind of inclusive, because in areas where you have less, like Central Europe, where the Alps and mountains are just amazing and I love them. But if you are not so experienced cyclist, then you don't want to kind of have a 20-kilometer climb. In Finland, we have like this rolling hills and punchy climbs, and you can gain a lot of altitude or elevation gains on the routes, but it's like not like constant huge mountains. You just do the rolling hills, and we have clean air.
Yes.
We have lakes. We have the nice sceneries, and also it's we have a safe country. We don't have to be. in the countryside, you just talk to I think it's so fascinating, just the whole culture when I moved into the gravel roads and doing the rural areas. Whenever I meet the people somewhere on their yards or whatever, we obviously wave our hands and say hello and maybe have a quick little conversation. You kind of feel so more alive when you go to the countryside than the clean paved roads where you just have cars passing by and they get intimidated and do all kind of nasty things. So yeah.
Interesting. So there is a difference between bike packing, which people talk about, and then traditional cycling tours. Could you just educate me a little bit? What is the difference between bike packing and traditional cycling tours?
Yeah, I think the emergence of gravel cycling has kind of grown the bikepacking. Probably also the terminology also emerged just very recently. And like bike tours, you have you maybe do. I mean, there's kind of the same thing, but there's the nuances. In bike touring, you maybe go like paved surfaces, and you carry larger amounts of necessities with you with these big panniers on your bike. But the development in the bikes where you have those balls where you can attach the bags or the bike packing bags on your bike, lighter ones, and you can you have more possibilities to move on rougher grounds. People also do do bike packing on mountain bikes, kind of bikes and gravel bikes. And you basically carry less necessities with you than probably the traditional bike touring bikers.
How do you determine the right balance between carrying necessities and keeping the bike light when you have to travel long distances?
That's an interesting question, because first I have to kind of give my own perspective. When I bought my first gravel bike, I was like, I'm never going to do any bike packing or anything, because I love to feel how the bike feels when I handle it, and I don't want to have any extra kilos all over the bike. Yeah. And I'm very purist that I'm not going to do that. But then the lucky thing is that there's also this concept of credit card bike packing, which means that you have like really like the most necessities, most necessary things. So like obviously bike tools, you have to be able to repair if something happens to your bike, some easy repairs that it can do along the way, and tire punctures, repair them and stuff like that. And then maybe some clothes for change and just very little things. You can travel very light. Then use your credit card to stay in the hotel overnight and eat in restaurants and cafes. I think that's something for me. And I've done a couple of those kind of credit card bike packing things, because I like to sleep in the bed and take a shower and maybe wash my bike kit and start fresh the next day. But then obviously if you want to do like real bike packing experience, I know those who are like really pro bike packers, they compare their kilos and liters, how much they carry with them. Oh. And you definitely have to do short trips before you do, like if you go to a longer, like people may go for years for bike packing trips. So you really have to know your bike, your equipment, how you handle the bikes, the bags, and your storage things, and also the kit, and you have to be alert of any chafings and stuff that may cause really big harms along the way if you're doing a long bike packing trip. But then there are the variations, so you can kind of choose your own type of bike packing. But I've turned, even if I said that I'm not going to do any bike packing, I kind of a bit intrigued to
Mm.
try. I feel it's very fascinating to do back-to-back days, just sitting on my bike and seeing the surroundings and finding all the interesting places you can find on the countryside and services, nice little cafes and also those. We have this famous filmmaker, film producer, Aki Kaurismäki type of, which is called around cyclists that Aki Kaurismäki type of old stores and shops and cafes, which are kind of cool.
Yeah.
When you do a time travel back in the past. So that's a fascination. You find something that you don't find in any other way. So that's kind of the luxury of cycling in the countryside and gravel bikepacking, whatever you call it.
I was wondering, because this is a great opportunity for the small hotels, family-owned hotels in the countryside, the inns and so on. Have you found that they are they prepared to welcome the bikepackers who are traveling just with the credit card and light, and they want to have a good night's sleep and maybe a place to store their bike or even have some maintenance done, or is that still something that need to be developed better?
I think, you can get, awesome experiences, but there's still a lot of work to do. And I think this is a good opportunity that we can take advantage here, like in the travel business here in Finland, because it's awesome that we have this organization. What do you call? You actually have this translation somewhere, Sam-Erik, this pyörämatkailukeskus, which is like bike travel agency that have started to create a platform where you can find routes that are curated routes, and then with all the services picked up and fireplaces and all that kind of stuff. And they also created this label that you can have this welcome cyclist. You just have to make sure that you have these specific notions that you have like some equipment for maybe some bike repair equipment, some pumps and stuff like that. And also that you have the mentality that you're prepared to take even some muddy and very dirty cyclists in your residence, because it can happen if it's like rainy or very dusty. You don't appear very clean and sterile when you enter the little hotel. But I think there's a huge opportunity to create business and develop the business for some very remote places and interesting places. And it's like in user interface where you can kind of reach those places. I think the mentality is something that have to be kind of understood, that what the cycling people need. And like me, sometimes I face, like in a hotel, it has happened like throughout the years that I have been traveling all around the world with my bike in triathlon, that some hotels don't want you to take your bike in your hotel room. But obviously, like when you do a road bike or a triathlon bike, you keep it very, very clean and tidy, because a clean bike is fast bike. But when you're riding in gravel roads, the bike obviously get dirty and dusty. So you really appreciate if you have a place where you can clean your bike. And then you really want to have it very close to you, because you have like 5,000 plus euros for the bike. So you don't want to leave it in a random storage room where the delicate components get ruined and stuff like that. So it's the treasure. It's your transportation means and your loved one.
Of course. There is you mentioned earlier the organization. There's a Finnish Center for Cycling Tourism, and they have a website. So for all the bikers that you are interested in Finland, I think I put into the show notes the link where you can find the information. But I would be interested, Sari, from your point of view, how do you plan your routes, especially when exploring unknown trails or destination. I think must be a fascination about going to somewhere you've never been before. But how do you make those plans? Do you have a big map or a thick book, heavy book with all the maps, or is it something more advanced these days?
Oh yeah, actually, I know that you are fascinated about all the digital things that are happening in also in the tourism and travel business, and this has been a game changer, actually. If I compare to those moments where I thought in the 1990s that, oh, this gravel thing would be a good thing, I rode the roads that I kind of knew, that my friends told that you can do a loop there and you kind of get around. But nowadays, when you have all kinds of digital map tools where you can design routes and draw your own routes, or you can find curated routes, or people share their routes. You have Strava, you have Komoot, you have Outdoor Active, you have All Trails, you have Ride GPS, numbers and numbers of different kind of platforms.
Is there any particular memorable experience you could like to share, or a story from your own bikepacking adventure, whether it's been anywhere around the world or in Finland?
Yeah, I've done a lot of rides. That's been like road cycling in when I've not been in Finland. That's also experiences. But I kind of feel like, as far as I think of gravel cycling, I still have so much to see in Finland. And this is such an awesome place that if I think of road biking trips, I really prefer going somewhere close to Alps or Pyrenees or stuff like that. But in Finland, yeah, really cool memories. Like the thing we're dreaming with my friends all through winter is like, oh, we just long those days we go just have fun. It's like being a kid again. You go ask your friends, let's go riding bikes, and then you go around in the forest, and then after that you go out for an after ride and have a beer or a burger or stuff like that. And I mean, that's the cool thing. It's a social aspect and really having fun and then enjoying the riding. But then it's not always sunshine. Like last midsummer, we were meant to go to midsummer festivities in Finland. It's a big thing. And no, I mean, you have this midnight sun and it doesn't get dark and you celebrate the midsummer thing. And we decided to go to our friend's cottage and spend the midsummer. But our mentality as endurance athletes is always that before you have a party, you need to do something physical before that. So we took our gravel bikes. Our friends took our equipment. So we just took our bikes and did like a 170K ride. And we just rode maybe 100 meters from our home and it started pouring rain. And, there were maybe 20 minutes during the day that it didn't rain, but it rained a lot. And then it rained even harder. And once we came eventually to the place of our friend's cottage, it was like, we're so wet, soaked, and so dirty, so muddy. And then, I mean, it was so enjoyable. Our friends, they had like 3 different kind of saunas heated for us. It's like, this is heaven. We get our pint of beer in our hands and we go in the sauna. So after that, it's like, what an awesome day. It was a miserable day at times, but the whole package makes it such an incredible moment. Yeah. But then obviously there's some sunny, nice rides. They are precious, but you can get experience of all kinds of rides.
Of course. Very good. One thing which is now happening in Finland, in particular in the gravel biking, is that the city of Lahti has established itself as the leading destination for gravel biking. Could you speak a little bit about the work that is being done to entice international bikers to come to Finland, and why Lahti? Is that is it by destination on the area special, and which makes it more interesting for a biker to come to Finland and to Lahti?
Yeah, I think I have to. I mean, get a big credit for Lahti for being opening kind of or speaking loud of like a sport tourism. and they're open to events and things that are happening around sports that they consider as a tourism business. Because in some other areas, it's kind of a difficult thing because people don't trust. It feels like a niche area, and it's not like a real business. But they have discovered, because obviously they have a long history in winter sports events, skiing world champs and stuff like that. So they have a DNA in sports. And now, because they're being open to sports events, they have mentioning besides the gravel events, which I'm going to talk more deeply, but also like last summer they have an amazing and huge event like the Ironman 70.3, which is a half distance Ironman world champs, and there are like 6,000 athletes attending, so that was a big one. And then they also have this Finland gravel, which is joint venture of an American Steamboat Springs SPD gravel event organizer, and then our big famous athlete, Formula One driver, Valtteri Bottas, who owns the event, and it's organized by this USA-based event organizer. And they know how to organize events, like also the Ironman. It's like an awesome concept. So that's, kind of jealous that they have such an awesome combination. I would like to see this happening in other cities or other areas as well. And they also they have another event series, Nordic Gravel Series. They are organizing an event.
Are you involved in any of these events yourself? Or any of these activities at the moment?
Actually, I'm involved partly in an event which is happening in Eastern Finland, in Koli. But I had the privilege before the Finland gravel landed here in Finland. The previous summer, I was privileged to join a test ride where they have all these ambassadors and media persons also doing like stories and sharing the kind of the message of Finland being as a hidden gem of gravel cycling. And then I also attended the first edition of Finland Gravel last summer, and I'm intending to join this year as well. So I definitely think it's an amazing event, and also having such an amazing person as an advocate of gravel cycling. It's a huge audience, and I see him being invited to several cycling-related podcasts nowadays. Also, so because also Valtteri's fiance or girlfriend is a pro cyclist, so they are, a power couple for gravel cycling message.
Very good. So, as many of our listeners know, we love technology here at the Social Hotelier, and the only way to keep up with new demands of travelers is to keep up with the latest and the greatest. In hotels, there is self-check-in, digital concierges, and keyless entries. I'm curious to get your view. What kind of technology or automation is making life more convenient for bikepackers these days?
As I already mentioned about those different tools and platforms for finding routes or planning your own routes, I think the curated routes by different destinations or some influencers are interesting, because you can kind of do a whole bikepacking tour packaged by kind of creating the tour route and also highlighting the places to see and highlighting the best cafes, restaurants, and the local experiences, and also the places to stay overnight. Yeah. And so that is, the digital tools, they kind of enable you don't need to join like fully serviced tours. You can do it by yourself and you have the knowledge how to do it. But then also, I also have to mention that there are some awesome fully serviced concepts where you can go like throughout Finland. Actually, my friend is involved in an event that starts from the most southernmost point of Finland to the most northernmost point. And they do like 200 plus K a day and cross Finland from south to north in 8 days. So that's, amazing way to see Finland in a very common way. But the digital world, it's a must thing. Without it, you couldn't know where to move and find safe, beautiful, adventurous places.
Very good. Well, Sari, this has been a very interesting discussion. Thank you very much for sharing your views and particularly your passion about biking and how this can be. That Finland is really a very interesting destination for people who like to learn about Finland, also to see the nature, experience the fresh water, fresh air, and the peaceful, sometimes solitude that we can offer here in this country. But if people are interested to find out more about your activities, Sari, how can they do so? How can they find? Do you have a website, or are you on LinkedIn, or anywhere they can reach out if they have any questions about biking?
I think various intensities. I'm active in social media, but I think Instagram is there where I share mostly the things that I have a passion for. And I have my personal Instagram account, which is Sari Katrin. And then I realized that I also have to do a gravel cycling account because I don't want to only share gravel pictures on my main account. So I created a gravel account because Sora is a word in Finnish for gravel. So I have this account Sora.Katrin, which is then where I mostly share my gravel cycling pictures and moments. So
very much sure we put those links into the show notes, so anyone interested will have a chance to visit you. And whenever you visit Sari's Instagram account, please give a thumbs up and follow her activities, and you also learn about biking in Finland and around the world at the same time. So, Sari, I appreciate you joining today's episode, and thank you very much for your insights. Oh, thanks very much for joining this episode today. It was very interesting to learn about gravel biking, and Sari is an expert in this topic. So I'm glad you could join me today. I got a whole bank of ideas we can't wait to get into in the coming weeks. So remember to stay up to date with all of my events. You can find me on LinkedIn or Instagram. But also, please email me info@b8bhospitality.com and to share with me any ideas you have about the topics for our next podcast. I hope I left with some interesting questions and insights, and there's more to come, so watch this space. Also, if there's anything you want me to cover in the future episodes, I'd be happy to dive into some weird and interesting research topics, so get in touch and let me know if there's anything you want to know about hospitality. And before you leave, and please endorse me and this channel with a thumbs up or heart, and I don't mind if you buy me a coffee. The link is in the show notes. See you soon.